I'm going to try really hard not to be a mouth breather this whole time. Because I'm kind of like a Neanderthal. So this is like going to be a really tough challenge for me.
And you know what? These headphones actually make it really hard because you can hear it like legit the whole time. It's like... Well, I can't think of a better place to start than that right there. We're back, you guys, and with our last, well, unless we get another coach, edition of Meet the Coach with Dennis.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Finally, man. I've been trying to get you in here to do this for about a month now. It's been kind of hard to like tie it down with the gym moving and everything going on. And, you know, you're coaching up north and then coaching down here to get a time to actually do it. So I'm stoked that you had time to sit down today.
Yeah, I'm excited too. This will be fun.
Cool, man. All right. So, Dennis, you kind of came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, we had this new guy coaching who's legit and knows how to coach. And everybody's like, who is this guy? I've never seen him before. He's never even worked out here. And it was just like, boom, here's Dennis. So, Dennis, give us a little background. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Clarkston, Michigan. I used to coach a gym in Grand Blanc, Michigan, under this guy named Joe DeGain. He works for CrossFit HQ and has been a flow master for, I think, the last 6 years.
Yeah.
And so he's been around. I've been in the CrossFit community for a long time. I got a job over at NC Fit in San Jose. I went to my first level 1 seminar, internship? Met you.
Yep.
And immediately knew that you were kind of the guy I wanted to be around. And so I decided to come on down, check out the gym. And from that point on, I knew this is where I wanted to be.
That's awesome, man. So, taking a step back. So, you're originally from Michigan, and you that wasn't the first gym you went with Joe, right? You were at a gym before that, and that was when you were in college. Where did you go to college?
I went to college at Oakland University, and the first gym that I went to, well, I started in my own garage at home.
Yeah, that's a man at my heart right there.
I didn't have any bumper plates. I didn't have an Olympic barbell. I had a 100-pound cast iron set that I could screw the ends of the barbell together.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it had a bench. It came with a bench, and it was literally the benches, like the arms that held it up were narrower than my shoulders.
Yeah.
So I had to put my hands on the outside of the bench to take it out of the rack.
Yep.
And so that's how I started. I used to try to snatch with that in my driveway. I had an ab mat. I had a perfect push-up. Those little rotating handles.
Yeah, those were legit. They would activate the inner part of the
it was
chest.
great. It was great. I was like, man, Navy SEAL developed this. This is right what I need to be doing. This is exactly what I need to be doing. I had the Iron Gym, which was that pull-up bar that went into door frame.
Nice.
I could only do strict because I was too long to be able to do any kipping, and if I did kip, the whole thing would fall out the door. I learned that lesson pretty quick. And I had a kettlebell, and that was where I started.
That's actually a pretty legit amount of equipment.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. I think I asked for equipment every year for like 4 years.
Yeah.
For my birthday. So like birthday, Christmas, I was like, Mom, I need a slam ball. And she bought me a 12-pound slam ball, which I cut open and put some more sand in and lead shot, and that turned it into my wall ball.
Nice. There you go.
So yeah, it was just kind of hodgepodge, whatever I could find. If there was a sale at Played Against Sports, I went and got a kettlebell or something like that, and that was it.
Awesome. And then your first coaching gig was at what gym?
CrossFit Maven in Rochester, Michigan. It was about a mile and a half from, maybe a little bit further than that, maybe about 3 miles from the university that I was at.
Okay. And how did you start coaching? What brought you to coaching?
Well, I was a poor college student, so I wanted to be in the CrossFit gym. I had done it before, and I was like, I need to get a coach. Like, I really should have someone looking at what I'm doing. I had taken my L1 at that point. My boss at the time was like, hey, you should be a personal trainer. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I got my personal trainer cert. And then I was like, man, this CrossFit thing, this might be worth something later on. I should probably get my L1 certification. So I took my L1. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I really need a coach. So I went to CrossFit Maven, checked it out. I was like, all right, this seems like a pretty legit spot. Like, this guy seems to know what he's doing. I'll have him be my coach. So I went and signed up, and that was it. I got a little bit of a discount because I was a student, which was cool. But soon found out that I was way too broke for CrossFit. So I was paying my dues every month. That was great. But I didn't have money to put gas in my car.
Yeah.
So I called my coach. I was like, dude, you need to come pick me up because, like, I can't get there. I want to come to class, but, like, can you pick me up along the way? So I was, like, hitching rides from people.
Nice.
Didn't have food on the weekend, so I was, like, stealing food out of the cafeteria in the week and, like, hiding it in my fridge and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
But so I paid my membership.
So you could pay your CrossFit membership.
Oh, absolutely. That was,
amazing.
like, the first thing in my bank account that it went to. So that's how that went. And then I told him, I was like, hey, man, I don't think I can do this anymore. I would love to be here, but, like, can we work something out? And he's like, I've seen you interact with people. You know what you're talking about. You have a really good understanding of body mechanics, and I think you could be a good coach for us. And I was like, deal. Deal. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, you know, sure.
You get your level 1. You're like, yeah, I'm a certified level. At the time, you were certified. Certified level 1 CrossFit coach. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I remember my first class, and I was like, oh, God, I don't know what's going on.
Just counting people's reps and
yeah.
just high-fiving.
Yeah, just screaming and high-fiving. That's all I did.
I remember when I first started coaching, that's what coaching was to me, was intensity in my voice. Mm-hmm. So, like, the more intense I could be, the better coach I was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, there was no coaching happening at all. It was just a big cheerleading session.
Yeah. And, like, it was just, like, as long as I knew everyone's names, well, at that gym, everyone had their names, and then everyone had nicknames that they put up on the board.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it was kind of cool, but it made it tough for a coach because not only did you have to know everyone's name, then when it came to the board, you're like, oh, man, what was their nickname?
Oh.
What is associated with them?
That's cool.
So, like, the owner had, came up with a bunch of stuff, which was really cool. It was a really cool community builder, but man, that was hard as a coach to figure out everyone's nickname all the time. But it was good. It made me connect with people really well, and awesome. I really liked that.
So coaching was really out of necessity.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I need money.
Yeah. So as soon as I started coaching, I didn't have to pay for membership anymore, and I had a little money in my pocket, which was awesome because then I was like, in college, you have an extra $180 a month. You're like big baller.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
A lot of money in college.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. I'm a baller. Like, I can have beer on the weekends. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And then from there, how did you end up at Joe's gym? Just so, like, everybody knows, Joe is not just a CrossFit flow master. Like, this guy has been around CrossFit from the beginning. Do you know his affiliate number by chance? Like,
oh gosh,
it's in the hundreds, right?
Yeah. I think he was number 3 in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
It was Hyperfit, where Julie Fouché originally came from. Then it was Oakland County CrossFit, which was right around the corner from us.
So was he with Doug?
No.
Oh.
No. He was kind of always on his own. Joe got his gym. I don't know if he wants me telling everyone this, but
it's just Coach Range.
Yeah. He got his gym literally from Greg Glassman himself.
Oh, dang.
So he was at a coaching summit. He was a flow master at the time, and he didn't have a gym. He was working still at the high school where I went, and Greg came up to him and said, Joe, why don't you have a gym of your own? You're a flow master for me. You've got to this point. Why don't you have your own affiliate? Joe said, I can't afford it. My wife's a teacher. I'm a teacher. And in Michigan, teachers don't make anything.
But teachers don't make anything anywhere.
Yeah, so it's terrible.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're barely making it as it is, you know?
Yeah.
And I have a pension, so I can't really give up my pension to do this, but I love doing this on the side. And Greg said to him, all right, how about I give you a loan for $5,000? Or not a loan. He's like, I give you $5,000. You open your own affiliate. You don't have to pay the affiliation fee. $5,000 for equipment to put in your garage.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. And
that is amazing.
Yeah. And Joe was like, all right, Greg, whatever. He didn't really think that anything would come of it. And literally 2 days later in the mail, he got a $5,000 check from Greg Glassman.
Wow.
And Greg's only stipulation was, some point in your life, you have to be able to give back to someone else just like I gave to you.
Doing the right thing for the right people for the right reasons. That's Greg.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yep.
That's amazing. And now that place has probably affected hundreds of thousands of people.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's amazing. Yeah, but anyways, that's forgive me. But Joe is as OG as they come in the CrossFit community. So you learn from one of the best coaches in the world.
Yeah.
And then end up running one of his gyms.
Yes. And that was, I heard that story and how he got the first 810 out of his garage when he came to me one day and he said, Dennis, I want you to manage one of my gyms. He's like, it's not going to cost you anything. He's like, I'm going to pay you a salary. He's like, it's going to be 100% yours and my buddy Colin at the time. He's like, I'm going to give it to you. And as long as you want to stay there, you can stay there. He's like, you will always have a salary with me. You will always have this. This is my way of giving back to someone else. He's like, I don't want anything off the top. All that I want you to do is pay the loan that was on the bill, that was on for the equipment. He's like, as long as you pay that, you don't owe me anything at the end of the month. And so he's like, this is my way of giving back.
Yeah,
just
Greg
like
gave to him.
Greg gave to him.
And you said,
oh, I said, yeah. Well, I said, yeah. I was like, this is great. You know, I can do this. So I did.
Awesome.
And I did that for 3 years.
Hell yeah, dude. Cool. And then what made you move out to California?
Well, I had a different kind of opportunity. I was kind of looking around. I was in one of those places where you don't really know if you're going to continue on a certain path. You know, they always say usually successful people quit, or unsuccessful people quit right before they find success.
Yeah.
So I was kind of on that path.
It's that cartoon of the guy digging for the diamond, and he's literally right there, and then he gives up right before he gets
exactly.
to it. Yeah.
So I was kind of at that path. I was like, I was not where I wanted to be in my life. I just got married. I bought a house. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not making enough money to be able to do this. Some of it by my choice, and some of it was out of my hands. So I was like, man, I should think about going into the police academy.
Oh, okay.
So I applied for the Michigan State Troopers, and I made it super far down the line. And it was just in that final selection that they told me no. And I was devastated.
Wow.
And at that point, like, I had no idea what I was going to do. And in one kind of final-ditch effort, I emailed Jason Kalipa on a whim. I was like, here is my resume. This is what I've done. This is who I work for. What do you think I should do? And him being a pretty good businessman, he looked at my resume and said, well, I have a spot for you at one of my gyms. He's like, I can pay you more, what you need. He's like, and it'll give you a little bit more stability. And I was like, okay, that works for me. I talked to Joe. Joe supported me 100%. Thought it was one of the best moves that I could have done for myself and for my family. So he supported me and was like, go chase this dream down. So that was kind of the turning point for me. And then I caught an internship with CrossFit HQ, and now I'm here. So it's kind of been like this roller coaster of, you know, ups and downs from start to finish, and couldn't be happier where I'm at.
Oh my God, that's so crazy. So, and Whitney is working for, your wife is working for CrossFit headquarters as well.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
My wife was doing corporate recruiting back in Michigan, and when we moved out to California for my job, she asked her boss if she could work remotely. Her boss obliged and was like, yeah. And I was like, well, this is great. You already have a job when we're moving out. This is like awesome. And she found it a little bit tough working East Coast hours on the West Coast. So like she was starting work at like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, we had a friend that had to do that, and it was
Miserable.
Yeah.
So she was miserable. Happened to see a posting on CrossFit.com. She was just looking for different jobs for a recruiter. She applied, got the job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys are like 100% CrossFit family.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that's so rad.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I mean, this how I met Dennis. I was just doing a random level 1 up in Sacramento, and Dennis was interning there, and we were just talking, going, hey, where are you coaching now? What's happening? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, I'm up in NorCal Fit and everything. Oh, okay, cool. High fives. Hey, great job this weekend. I hope your internship goes well. And it was like, probably never see the guy again. And then I get an email from you a week later going, hey, you need any coaches?
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? Okay, awesome. Yeah, cool. Come on down. And I remember it was so funny because I told you, I was like, I can't pay you very well. You're going to have to do an unpaid internship. And even if you do get the job, you're still not going to get paid very well because we can't afford it. And you're like, cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right, sweet. And you went through it and nailed it and everything. So it was awesome. I know we're stoked to have you here, but
I'm stoked to be here.
Cool. So you definitely have some interesting things as far as your past goes. I had no idea that you wanted to be part of the state troopers and that kind of stuff happened. And obviously, I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. I've had a lot of things in my life happen where I was like, why is this happening to me right now?
Yeah.
I can't believe this, and it led me to exactly where I am now, which is I would never want to be anywhere else. My life is amazing. And I'm sure you're maybe starting to feel the same way.
Oh, absolutely. I always kind of lived my life by that way. When I didn't get into the state troopers, I was pretty upset.
As you should be.
Yeah, and I was like, man, there's got to be something better coming. There's got to be a reason I'm doing this right now, and I'm taking this hit because I know if I keep pushing, something better is going to happen. So,
well, that's a very mature attitude to have.
Yeah,
one that many people don't.
Yeah.
So you've also had another setback kind of that happened to you too with your heart. What's going on with that?
Well, that's
just
so
you guys know. One day, Dennis took his shirt off and he had this scar on his chest, and I was like, "Hey, man, what's that?"
Yeah. Well, when I was in high school, I was about 15 years old. I was running cross country. I was a high school cross country runner, and I blacked out just in the middle of the race. Just fell over.
Did you feel it coming on, or was it just boom, happened?
Well, in cross country and in running in general, you feel pretty terrible 90% of the time.
That's why we don't run.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so, I was feeling extra crappy that day, and I was like, it's kind of hot out. I'm just going to keep going, And then before I knew it, I was waking up, and there's, people around me.
Oh, okay.
And in cross country, people blacking out once in a while, that happens as well. You get heat exhaustion, and that's what the paramedics chalked it up as. And I was like, all right, no big deal. Then it happened again. And then again.
Oh, geez.
And then again.
Oh, my God.
It was happening all the time, at least once a week. And then I was blacking out in my classes in the morning time, just sitting in my desk.
Oh, just not even any type of activity
happening. No, I was just sitting there, and my teachers all thought I was asleep, and I was literally unconscious.
Oh my gosh!
So
this Dennis guy's an asshole.
Yeah, my mom went to a parent-teacher conference, and my teacher was like, I don't know what's going on with Dennis. He gets really good grades, but every time I look over at him, he's sleeping in his desk.
Oh my gosh, how scary!
And I was like, I don't remember sleeping.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, were you sleeping? I was like, I don't remember it. I was unconscious. So,
wow.
We're like, man, we should really, really take a look at this.
Probably go get this looked at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have a fantastic cardiologist. First I had a recorder in my chest. So they put a little kind of jump drive underneath my skin. It just recorded everything that was going on all day long. And they're like, whoa, your heart rate is spiking. Then it crashes and you're unconscious.
Huh.
And then after that, I got an internal defibrillator. So in case I do crash, it kind of shocks my heart back, and then I come back.
You have an AED in your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So that was that. And that kind of time, it took me out of sports for a long time. And I had a couple doctors tell me, oh, you'll never do anything physical ever again. And then my current doctor, who is actually the on-call cardiologist for the White House and did some surgeries for Dick Cheney and all those people, he was like, well, knowing your personality type, I don't think you're going to abide by that for very long. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I just kept training, kept doing what I was doing, running.
Wait, so did they find out what?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is it?
It turned out to be called long QT syndrome.
Okay.
Which is the QT interval is when your heart completely compresses and pushes the blood out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mine is elongated. It's actually an electrical problem between my brain and my heart.
And so your heart is stops pumping blood for a longer period of time.
Yeah, so it compresses all the blood out, which makes my heart really strong.
Yeah.
But
you lose oxygen.
Yes. So when it happens over and over and over again,
which would happen at higher heart rates, like doing CrossFit.
Exactly. And any other activity, really, it signals to your brain that you have low blood pressure.
Gotcha.
So when your body has low blood pressure, what it does is it starts to adrenaline dump to speed up your heart rate.
So you're getting this kind of like positive negative effect that's
Exactly.
happening.
So it's a negative feedback loop. So I'm reading low blood pressure.
But your heart rate is spiking.
It's spiking constantly, and the faster it goes, the longer it elongates. So I am my heart rate's going through the roof. I mean, I've been recorded at like over 300 beats a minute.
Wait, hold on. I got to do the math here really quick. Well, how old are you right now?
I am 26.
So your maximum heart rate is supposed to be 194.
Yeah.
So
my heart rate tends to be a little bit high in general. Like my resting is pretty low, but I can hit.
I mean, we all know that max heart rate stuff is bull crap anyway.
Yeah,
but still, like just to think about 300.
300.
That is,
and I maintained it for about 15 minutes
consecutively.
Mm-hmm.
And that was doing what activity?
Running on a treadmill. That was inside of a lab doing what they call a stress test.
And how did you feel during that time?
Oh, you feel terrible.
When you were running, you felt like your heart was going.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
So was this like a VO2 max test, kind of like?
Yeah.
Like
So what happens
like
is
slowly increase the pace until you get to a point where you can no longer do it. And
yeah,
maybe
exactly.
You pass out, and then they go, okay, this is his stress threshold.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Wow. Okay, so now and how long have you had that in?
Well, this is my second one actually.
What happened to the first one?
Well, there's batteries in it, so it has to be changed out.
Oh, and how often does that happen?
About 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
So this last one that I had was called a dual lead. So that actually had wires that were inserted into my heart. So I had these kind of loose end wires inside my heart in case it needed a shock, and it could give me a direct shock.
Yeah.
Well, that was the newest technology at the time.
Gotcha.
Up until 2 years ago, they didn't have anything else that could do that.
Uh-huh.
So when that new technology came out, they're like, we need to get these wires out of your heart because we don't want them to develop scar tissue and then break off inside your heart, and then you have metal floating around in there.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah, so that would be a real bad day as well.
Yes.
So that's why they had to keep doing all these surgeries. So I've had about 4 or 5 heart surgeries.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the course of how long?
10 years.
Jesus. It was like one every other year, basically.
Yeah. When I was in high school, it was pretty intense.
Wow. Oh, my God. And look at you, dude. You're freaking fit and happy and healthy, and everything's golden, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of like, I have noticed a couple times where you've like sat down in a corner.
Oh, yeah.
After a workout, like you could see you're kind of like, oh, okay, I'm all right. But
Yeah.
like, I do that. You know what I mean? It's nothing like out of the ordinary.
Yeah. I've learned at this point in my life, like, so I had a heart attack in class, in my college class one time. Like I was sitting in a math class and I was sitting there and all of a sudden I start sweating profusely and I had like a full-on heart attack. And nothing really hurt nearly as bad as that.
Wait, like left arm goes numb.
Yeah.
All the symptoms. And did you say anything where you're...
Yeah. So like I don't like making a big deal. I don't like drawing a lot of attention to myself unless I'm coaching, and then I draw all the attention to myself. But I just kind of wrote it on a note and I slipped it to my teacher, his desk was like right in front of my desk. So I wrote and I was like, I think I'm having a heart attack. Can you meet me out in the hall? And so I got up, walked out. He came out and he was all flustered. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, I think I'm having a heart attack. I was like, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to walk back to my dorm and lay down.
No, Dennis, you're not.
And so I was like, this is my phone number. If I don't text you within 5 minutes,
dude,
you need to call 911.
This professor is like, this is either the most elaborate scheme to get out of this thing ever, or I'm gonna get fired in a little bit. Yeah.
So he could see. I mean, I was red. I was bright red. I was sweating. When it happens, I look really, really bad.
Did he let you go back to your dorm room?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Excuse me. What the hell?
Yeah. So he was just like, "Are you sure?" I was like, dude, I got this. Like, I can handle it. I'm going to call my doctor right now, who's going to call the ambulance. They're going to come pick me up inside my dorm because, like, if I don't make it, they're going to be looking for me.
Yeah.
But if I can make it back to the dorm, they know exactly where I'm at.
But why didn't you just stay there?
Because I don't want a big scene like that. I'd rather like go like lay in my apartment and just like lay down and like try to sleep for a little bit.
Oh my God, you're having a heart attack, dude.
Yeah.
This isn't like indigestion.
Yeah, no, I just don't like it. I didn't like all that. I lived through all that stuff when I was in. I went to the hospital at least 3 times a month when I was in high school. Like,
Yeah.
I blacked out one time.
Yeah.
I hit my head on a desk and I rolled out of my desk and I'm like bleeding from my mouth and it's just like
you're over the scenes.
Yeah, I'm like I was like, I've done this.
So
like,
did you make it back to your dorm room?
Yep, made it back to my dorm room.
Okay.
Blacked out on the couch. The ambulance, the EMS came and picked me up. Went to the hospital, but like when I go to the hospital after all these episodes happen, they can't really do anything for me. So they just monitor me, give me some fluids, all that good stuff. Make sure I don't have another one.
So you had a heart attack, but did your defibrillator worked?
No, it didn't. It was working, but it wasn't tuned to having the heart attack. So like I didn't go completely unconscious. So like I had a heart attack, but I like kept going. So my defibrillator.
You were just going in and out of AFib.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So my defibrillator.
Weird. So you were having like kind of just a bunch of little heart attacks.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just one massive heart attack. It was just like a bunch of little ones over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. And here you are.
Yeah, and here I am.
That's got to make you appreciate life a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely changed my outlook on life. It's if you get to know me, you know that there's not a ton of things that really bother me at this point. Like, just kind of bounce around, do my thing, and I'm going to live life exactly how I want to do it every single day.
Yeah.
So, like, when it comes to CrossFit, like, you'll see me rolling around in pain and all that good stuff because it's literally what I want to do.
Yeah.
And, like, I got told numerous times that if you do this, you're going to die. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to die. I'll make it. So this is what I do.
Wow, that's freaking awesome. That is freaking awesome. Okay, well, switching directions here a little bit. No, sorry. This is freaking amazing, dude. Where do you see yourself in the next, like, 5 or 10 years, man? Like, I know you said, like, hey, I'm just going with the flow. I'm doing what I'm doing. But,
yeah.
I mean, are there goals? Are there things you want to accomplish?
Definitely. In the next 5 to 10 years, I mean, I just started my job with CrossFit HQ as a seminar staff. So that is, like,
traveling will begin.
Yeah, and that has been my dream for years since I, took my first level 1. So I'm pretty stoked about that. So once the traveling begins and all that stuff, I look to make my way through that process, get as far as I can. If I can become a flow master one day, that's awesome.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that something you want to do?
Absolutely.
Cool. Just so you guys know, too, in case people are listening, they're like, what's a flow master? Like, on the level 1 staff, when people show up for a level 1, you have your crew that's there, the red shirts, and there's usually 4, 5, 6, depending on the amount of participants, but there's always a flow master. They're kind of like the cruise ship director of the weekend. Like, they're the ones that's in charge of making sure people are there on time. They're the ones that's in charge of all the other level 1 staff members that are there. They're running the show, and so they're kind of like who we look up to on the level 1 staff. So sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So that's what I want to be. I want to get to that point where I'm one of those guys. I emulated Joe for years because he was this, and I want to follow in his footsteps. He's been my mentor for the last 8 years, really.
Awesome. Do you still, I would imagine he's still a pretty big mentor for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When I got on staff, I sent him a picture of the first conversation that we had over Facebook Messenger about getting on staff and what I needed to do, and I wasn't even at his gym at the time. Oh, wow. I was still at the first gym, so like he was just like that guy that was always around. I mean, he was coaching at my high school, and so like I took some of his non-CrossFit Joe to game workouts when I was in high school, and so like he was just always the guy for me. And I still, every time I go home, I go and see him and make sure that I keep up with him. I text him. He's just one of those guys that he's always meant a lot to me, and I've always appreciated him.
That's awesome. I have a funny story about Joe.
Yeah? I have a lot of funny stories about Joe.
You probably have way better stories than I do. But 2013 CrossFit Games.
Yep.
We're doing the thruster. It was the throwback workout where it was like 1,000-meter row, shoulder to overhead and pull up workout that you went through. I can't even remember the rep scheme. Don't ask me.
I know what you're talking about,
It was
though.
horrible. And I finished the workout. I was dead last in my heat. I was super pissed off at myself. Ripped my hands like crazy. My judge was repping me the whole time. It was just a horrible workout. And I get to the end. I'm laying like against my back against the stadium wall in the tennis stadium. And I look up because somebody said my name, and it was one of the photographers, like for CrossFit, right? And I can't remember his name at this point, but he reached down and handed me a water bottle.
Was it Dave Ray?
No, it wasn't Dave Ray. No, I think it was Ping. I want to say it was Ping. But anyways, he reaches down and he hands me this water bottle, and it was like a cold water bottle he just pulled out of like a ice chest. It looked like it was sweating. It was it was everything I wanted in that moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, thank you so much. And I reach up and I grab this water bottle, and I'm about to take a sip of this thing, and Joe walks over and grabs me by the arm and picks me up and goes, "We told you not to take things from people from the stands. Get out of here." And just pushes me towards the locker room. And I was like, I'm freaking out in my head. I'm like going, that's it. I'm kicked out of the games like that. I took something from somebody out of the stands, and that's a violation of the rules. And now I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And the whole rest of the day, I was just waiting for somebody to come up to me and be like, "Wes, I need you to come with me. We have to, tell you you're done," and blow. And I'm freaking out. That was the only time I'd ever met him. The only time I'd ever, even stuff. And so I told him that story a couple years later. I think at one of our, we did our a level 1 summit. And I told him that story. He was just cracking up laughing. He's like, I don't remember that.
He from a distance, he looks like one of the scariest human beings you will ever meet.
Yes, he does.
And
yes, he
but
does.
when you get to know him, he is the biggest softie you will ever know. He is the biggest softie.
That's awesome. Cool, man. Okay, so let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions I ask everybody who comes on here, and I'm going to ask you the same ones. The first question is, what is something that you are scared of?
What am I scared of? I'm always scared of the idea that I didn't do enough. Whether it's... But what it really pertains to is like my family. Like I didn't do enough for my family. That's always been a big thing for me. I grew up in a single family. My mom was a single parent, so like I was always that person that did everything. I worked really hard the entire time, and that's just kind of been who I am. I want to do enough for my family always. I don't want to be ever thought about as not doing enough. So when it comes to my wife, my mom, my brother, my sister, I always want to make sure that I've done enough by them. That's one of my big fears.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Normally get people say they're scared of spiders or something. So.
Yeah. No. I mean, you almost died a bunch of times. You're not too scared of any of it. You kind of
that stuff anymore.
I always think, I'm like, yeah, I've had my luck. We'll see what happens. If I die, this is it. Well, I've had 9 other chances, so I'm pretty good at this point.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Okay, so the other thing would be if you could go back to day 1 when you first started doing CrossFit.
Yeah.
And knowing what you know now and being, a subject matter expert really in this CrossFit thing that we talk about, and you can give yourself one piece of advice the day 1 that you started doing CrossFit, what would that piece of advice be to yourself?
Ooh, that's a good question. Man. I think I would tell myself to learn more. Simply because when I was a little bit younger, I was a little more wiry. I almost died a bunch of times. I was like, this is it. I'm going to do it, I thought I knew it all, I thought I knew everything. And I didn't. And I think it's just, that typical young person mentality where, like, you got the world by the butt.
Okay.
And if I could go back and tell myself, be like, dude, there's so much more out there.
You don't know anything.
Yeah, you don't know anything. Take a step back. Really look outside of your circle, and look for people who have done more. Because I pretty much learned everything I learned. I mean, I learned a lot from Joe. Joe guided me in a lot of directions, but I did a lot of looking at myself first, and I was like, this is what I know for sure.
Okay.
And
I'm
until
gonna make everybody else do this.
Yeah, right. And it wasn't like and it was abrasive.
Gotcha.
And it turned out there's coaches out there that do think they know a lot, and they do.
Yeah.
But I think as coaches, we can always learn from someone else, and the more that we can learn from
gotta
other,
be fluid.
Yeah, and the more that we can do that, the better off we're going to be.
So educate yourself more.
Yeah, educate yourself more.
And be open to new ideas.
Yeah,
and be open to learning
absolutely.
New things, and know that not everybody has one way of doing it.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways. Awesome.
Absolutely. And it took me a long time to get to that point, and I think that's super important.
It is super important. We preach that to all the coaches here, that there is no one way to do one thing. There's 100 different ways to do one thing, and the right way is the one that works for that person you're working with at that moment. So, be open to every type of idea you hear. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Okay, last question would be, you are stuck on an island. And I haven't asked anybody else this question. This is just for you.
Oh, nice.
You're stuck on an island. You're going to take one thing with you. What are you taking with you?
Ooh.
And it's a very selfish object. It's not like your wife.
Oh, okay. That was going to be my answer.
No,
okay.
Because that's stupid. I don't want to. I want to hear no, this one thing I am bringing with me. I'm stuck on an island. It's not food or water or anything like that.
I was going to say infinite amount of lasagna, but okay. One thing. One thing that would keep me sane.
Yeah, basically.
Oh man. I'd probably say a kettlebell. Because I think about what keeps me sane
on an island and you bring a kettlebell.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Oh my gosh, I would have brought Netflix.
Oh no, I can't watch TV that long. I think about working out, and it's this is what levels me most of the time. And I was what one thing can I do that will just
keep me sane while I'm stuck on this island?
Yeah, and what's one thing that's I think the most universal piece of equipment that we do.
Yeah.
Definitely kettlebell.
Oh, yeah. You can do anything with kettlebell.
That's what I mean.
Yep. And it's easy to travel with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not easy, but depending on the weight.
I can tie a bunch of vines together and just drag it along with me if I have to.
There you go. Awesome. Hey, well, thanks for sitting down with me, Dennis. I know I'm stoked to learn more about you. Selfishly, this is fun for me because I was talking with Reed about this last time. I was saying it would be awkward if we went and got coffee and I just sat here and talked to you like this and asked you these questions. You'd be like, dude, this guy is prying. You know what I mean? So it's fun for me when we get to do these things, but it's also really fun for everybody else to kind of get to know the coaches on a deeper level. So thanks for sitting down with me, dude.
Thank you.
Thank you for wanting to be a coach here. We really appreciate you. I know that you drive all the way down from Santa Clara every day to coach here, so it's not like it's an easy job for you at all. We don't pay you enough, that's for sure. But I know that we all appreciate you here, and it's been great getting to know you.
I love being here, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Okay.